York Times bestselling author Jacqueline Woodson has written more than 30 books for young readers. Her memoir, Brown Girl Dreaming, won the National Book Award. Each of her books places black teenagers and children at the center of their own story. Woodson's new book is called Before the Ever After. Look at that cover. I love that cover. It'll mean something. And I love the title, too. It tells the story of ZJ, who struggles to understand his dad's memory loss while trying to hold on to the good memories of the past. Woodson also won this year's Hans Christian Andersen Award. That's the highest international honor for children's book authors. And she's with us now. Congratulations to you on that, Jacqueline Woodson. Always good to see you. So let's start with...
Great to see you.
I know. I really appreciate you getting up. So let's talk about Before the Ever After, because it focuses on ZJ. I keep wanting to say Jay-Z, but ZJ. His dad was a former professional football player. He starts noticing that his dad is having memory loss, his personality's changing, and it's terrifying and baffling to him at the same time. ZJ's about 12, 13. Why did you pick this? I could see where you were going once it started. I went, oh, I know what's happening here. Why did you pick this particular topic?
I think the first and foremost reason is because I wanted to tell a story about a father-son relationship, a very deep and loving and cherished father-son relationship, and what happens to it. And also, I wanted to talk about the damaging effects of contact sports and how it's not just about losing these kind of anonymous bodies, that it impacts real people and real lives, real families.
And the effect of mental illness in the family, too, sometimes, and that's often a very difficult conversation to have for anybody.
It is so true, and I think especially young people, one great thing that books do is they give young people this language by which they could talk about stuff they might not have felt safe talking about or might not have had the vocabulary to talk about before. And so with Before the Ever After, I was hoping to do some of that, to give young people the language and the permission to begin to have these conversations.
The other thing that really touched me was ZJ and his friends. You call them the Fantastic Four. There's Derry and Daniel. Another name starts with an O.
Ollie.
And Ollie. And Ollie. And that his friends are there for him. And I think it's so unusual that you give boys, little boys, the opportunity to express their feelings the way these four do. Number one, they eat very well, peanut butter and banana sandwiches. I love those on soft bread. And then they have a thing with grilled cheese, and the cheese is streaming from the bread as they're eating it. And they're having really deep personal conversations, yet really bonding together. I think that's an important message, too, to send. Were you doing that? You're a mother of a son. Were you doing that deliberately?
Yes. Yeah, I think one thing as a writer, you know what you're doing and you don't know what you're doing. So it's the conscious, the unconscious, the subconscious. And with the 11, 12-year-old boys, I mean, they do have these kind of conversations. We don't always hear them. We don't always believe that boys are actually having these conversations, but they are. And I really wanted to put on the page these young boys who actually really talk to each other. And not only talk, but actively listen to each other and support each other. I think we think of that kind of thing, the active listening, the support, the having these deep conversations, as something that older people do or older kids do. But young people start doing it from an early age and continue to. And I really wanted to give ZJ, his boys, his support system.
Yeah, they have very, very sweet moments. I'm fascinated by you as a writer of young adult literature. And when I look at the Black Lives Matter movement, and so many of them are young people who are out there marching in the streets. And I'm curious about your take on that and how you're processing that as well. Because the Black Lives Matter movement is under fire at this time, but it also is doing a lot of good.
It's any time there is creation of change, there's going to be backfire, right? People are very afraid of change, especially people who have been in some sort of position that is threatened by that change. And what I am so excited about is that it is young people getting out here and saying, you know, not on my watch, this stops now. I'm not going to pass this down to my kids. You know, I'm doing the work. And they're young people of all colors. They're young people of all genders. They're young people of all economic socioeconomic backgrounds, and they are getting out there and they're saying, no, you adults might not have fixed this, but we are going to.
Yeah,
and that makes me so happy.
It's a Howard graduate, and Chadwick Boseman was a Howard graduate. Howard graduate. I saw that you did a post to him. What was your message to him?
My message was that he is now one of the ancestors, and I believe that. I believe that people don't leave us completely. They transcend into someone different who support us. I mean, I think you wouldn't be here without our ancestors. I wouldn't be here without our ancestors. And I think about that a lot. I think about the weight we carry, and that we don't have to think about just the people in this life supporting us, but the ancestors and what they brought.
Did it make you reflect, Jacqueline, on your own life? Because I thought he was working that way with that diagnosis for over 4 years. And I just look at my own life and think, how do any of us have a right to complain about anything? When I think about what he's been going through. I can't stop thinking about that.
It is so. I know, and you know, just that day alone, you know, we wake up and we see that he has moved on to the next place, and then later on, we see that Randall Keenan, who is a phenomenal writer and person and huge heart, had also moved on to the next place. And for me, I wanted to just go back to bed, and then the more I read about what Chadwick had done and how he had done it through his illness, and colon cancer is a very painful illness.
It can be,
and the fact that he had pushed through it to create this enormous change in the world. I mean, what young kid doesn't think about the Black Panther or Jackie Robinson or Thurgood Marshall and see some future self? So, I mean, you know, Black Panther not.
So did you think, let me get up?
You know what I mean.
Did you think, Jackie, let me get up? Yeah.
I was like, there is no reason for me to try to go back to bed. I got work to do.
Yes.
If the ancestors could do it, I can do it too.
Yes, we all have work to do on many different things. Jacqueline Woodson, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Before the Ever After is on sale now wherever you like to buy your books.